The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios.
Hi, this is Mia Mosinzia, also known as Mia No Time for Love. Check out my latest book, Missing, available in print and ebook formats on Amazon.
It's now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios and sponsored by international award-winning author Mia Mosinzia of Missing. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on over 40 podcast platforms, as well as HamiltonRadio.net, Diamonds FM, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. We can be heard in over 100 countries, featuring over 1,000 well-known and amazing guests throughout the globe. And named one of the top 100 global podcasts in the New York Weekly Times, Hollywood Entertainment News, Los Angeles Weekly Times, Apple, and Chartable. So sit back and relax and enjoy another great episode of the award-winning Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget, Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition rate. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Mosinzia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you love Missing by Mia Mosinzia, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is illusion and those you love will be the first go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Mosinzia has garnered great reviews and even loved and endorsed by Hollywood celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forbes Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today for Goes Missing by Mia Mosinzia, available on Amazon. Also, check out the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com on over 40 podcast platforms, heard in over 100 countries, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also, Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Audible, Apple Music. Also on HamiltonRadio.net, Diamonds FM, Oldies Radio, and a few networks coming soon. Take the Mike Wagner Show on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok today. And for great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com and check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. T-shirts, top sockets, throw pillows, hoodies, tote bags, and baseball gear and more. Makes great gifts 24/7. Go to Amazon.com and check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/Mia Mosinzia for great books like Missing, Once, and Wrinkles. Also T-shirts, pop sockets, hoodies, phone cases, and more. Amazon.com/Mia Mosinzia. Check it out today. I'll support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. Make sure you give generously today. We're here on a cross-country tour, you could say, continental. We got one gentleman in France who's back with us. We also got a wonderful artist and producer in England, and also an amazing guitarist, musician, also photographer, and artist as well in Germany. And this gentleman we're going to have featured, born and raised in England, the son of Italian immigrants who came to England in the 40s, began his career at 9 years young, formed his first band at 15, and played at the Cavern Club where the Beatles started, and the Marquee Club in London, played to 20,000 in Budapest at one point, and his group won the Talking Blues Award back in November 98, and also photographer and artist, and also with a gentleman who was also helping make Audio 54 and assisting this wonderful guitarist. And of course, we also have, backed by popular demand, one of the amazing hosts of Get Ready to Rock. He was on with Black Pearl, and he gives an update on the venture as well, too. And combining all 3 forces live, ladies and gentlemen, from the Plus Studios in France, England, Germany, and beyond. The very multi-talented Pete Finstra, along with Craig Marshall and Mick Pini. So we got Audio 54. Guys, good morning, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us, and good evening as well, too. And Pete, great to have you back, by the way.
Yeah, great to be on the show, Mike, as always. This is one of my favorite podcasts.
And definitely one of the favorite podcasts as well, too. We had you on before as well, too, with Black Pearl and Marcus Sieben and everything else. So tell us how you've been doing with Black Pearl, and what's been the latest on that?
Well, really good. I mean, I think we've had about 25 really good reviews now, which is absolutely great. the only thing that hasn't happened is that they haven't started gigging yet, which is going to be next year now, I think, because what happened was Marcus particularly had, and in his side, they had a year's worth of gigs. They lost them all because of COVID, of course. So the current year, they've got to kind of get those gigs back. And then the next year, you start with a clean slate. So hopefully it'll be then.
And you also got the Get Ready to Rock podcast as well, too. And tell everybody where can they find you and your podcast and all the music at. And we'll be talking to a couple of gentlemen who's one of them is charted number 58 in South Africa.
Actually, it's 58 in Holland, and I think your show is 58 in South Africa. So we're all
too many numbers out there.
we're all charted. We're all charted. But actually, I think that's one of the great things I came on here to say. I'm going to let everybody else talk, but I think for somebody like Mick, who's been in the business for so long, and then hooking up with Craig, and then to actually make the Dutch charts number 58 on the Hot 100 as an independent blues artist is unprecedented. I think that's so. Congratulations, both of you. Really excellent.
Thank you. Yeah.
And of course, you're here today to bring two wonderful gentlemen together. We have a gentleman who's been a singer, songwriter, musician, guitarist for quite a long time. Began guitar at 9, formed his first band at 15, and also played at the Cavern Club in Liverpool, along with the Marquee Club, and also released his latest release, Are You Blind, featuring the title track and more, and also got some of the forthcoming sessions as well, too, and also have Pastoral, and also next to him as well, too, who's part of Audio 54, and if I got this right, photographer and artist as well, too. We got Craig Marshall and Mick Pini, and before we get into that, so guys, tell us how you first got started. So who wants to go first, Craig or Mick? Which one? And Pete, if you want to jump in, feel free to do so. You can be on your co-host in a way.
I'm happy to go first. First met Mick when I was at the tender age of, I think, 14. I was just hanging around a neighbour's flat. The neighbour was actually in a band signed to Warner Brothers at the time. And Mick was just like part of the local scene, a friend of his. And I was just like, a little starry-eyed kid. And it was as gracious as ever. And then fast forward a few years, I think I was probably in my late teens, maybe early 20s, and Mick came to saw the band I was with playing live. Really liked what we did, and then basically we kind of, obviously Mick's been touring around the world and what have you, so we kind of lost touch a little bit, and then hooked up again when Mick was doing a gig back in Leicester, in our former hometown, and we sort of had a chat, and then just out of the blue one day, I was working on a tune and just thought Mick could be great for this. So got in touch with him through social media, and the rest is history. Basically, he liked what he was enjoying what he was doing, and he liked what he heard. So we carried on doing it.
And Craig, before we get over to Mick, how did you first get started in the business?
How did I first get started? Basically my first gig, the first gig I ever saw, my cousin, I was at a family wedding. Sorry, I'm going on a bit. I was at a family wedding. I was probably about 8, something like that. And my cousin was in a band at the time called the Pesky G, which was in the mod era, a guy called Zoot Taylor. And he took me to a salubrious gig at the Evington Boys Club, which was like a small, like kind of youth club type thing, and there was a band called the Farinas playing as well, which went on to be the Family. So basically at the age of 8, I was just surrounded by all these gorgeous girls doting on me because I was like the little kid, and I just thought, yeah, this is, I could do this. And that was kind of really, that set the seed. And then just like I think when I was about 14, something like that, started gigging at schools and things like that, and then just basically stayed with it.
That's really interesting. Was it one precise moment that simply influenced you in what you're doing for the rest of your career?
Sorry, say again, Mike.
What was that one precise moment that simply influenced you into what you're doing for the rest of your career?
Oh, right. I think basically just the first time I got on stage. I mean, it was frightening, and it was exhilarating at the same time in equal measure. And I couldn't decide whether to run or stay, so I decided to stay. So yeah, it was probably around about 14, 15, and I thought, yeah, this is what I want to do.
Okay. And who are some of your favorite artists, singers, and musicians growing up?
Oh wow. How long have you got, Mike?
As much time as you want, right, Pete? I mean, you've gone on for hours and hours. You know
there are
that.
many. There are many.
And Mick's got decades of experience. We'll get to him later as well. So
my personal heroes are Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye, Keith Richards, and then obviously there's the David Bowie will always be there. So yeah, that's about it really. And the rest, I mean, I've got a massive record collection, but they're the ones I always come back to.
Mm-hmm. And that's certainly interesting as well, too. And then, Mick, you pretty much began guitar at 9, formed your first band at 15, played at the Cavern Club and Marquee as well, too, in London. And you also got your latest release, Are You Blind? And you also have Pastoral as well, too. And you also won some accolades with your debut release back in 1998. We'll get to those. And, tell us how you first got started, Mick.
So, Mike, last sentence.
Tell us how you first got started.
Well, if you can imagine the 1950s, if you think about 57, 58, we just come after the war. Yeah, I didn't know if there was a war or not, but I certainly got a clip on the ear from a policeman playing on these demolished houses, and then I gradually got to learn, okay, there's war and that, but during that time it was a very depressing time in England, and at the time, funny enough, I'll cut the story short. I saw this LP on Columbia, Orange, and it's Bob Dylan. I thought, this guy's really strange. I really love his words. I love him. He's a blues man, without a doubt. Then I got into John Lee Hooker, and I thought, this guy's got something as well. And it went on from there, and I started learning more about the blues. And there was a lot more in the blues. But then during that time, Mike, you had the big Stones and Beatles coming up, 63, 64. And then the Yardbirds, all these British bands. And then in America, you obviously, it was really starting to take off in the hippie thing about 67, 68. And again, this was a different thing altogether, and I tend to go more towards the American side, of music, because people said to me, Mick, you belong in America, because them guys, you go for it. And I couldn't get into America, you see, unfortunately, because of my status as a musician. And people said, don't tell them you're a musician, tell them you're a painter. I'm a very straight guy. I'm a very straight guy, and funny enough, I just I did my art at art college, and I was going to get accepted at the Slade in London, but unfortunately, cut story short, that all fell to the ground because of the teacher. Left there. Started busking on the streets in London. Started joining bands in my hometown. Got fed up of being in my hometown, moved to Salisbury, moved to Liverpool, moved to wherever I could find there's some kind of movement. And during about 67, 68, I was spending a lot of time in London, and I found that quite an exciting time in London, as opposed to now, But again, my real thoughts were like going to America, and it never came to fruition, But again, you're taken by the music that's coming from there, all the black music, which I was really into, and like Craig was saying, or the Marvin Gaye's. I love it all. If it's good music, it's blues to me. You can call it whatever you want. It's great music. And I've always found the Americans have got that kind of thing. Whereas in England, it's a lot more jagged. The music, it's a lot more like set in a box. Like if you think, good bands, small faces, but you think, yeah, it's pop. There you go. It's not. It's a 3-minute thing. That's all you're going to get. Whereas in America, it's like, yeah, you get an whole album, you get 3 days of album music here. Oh, yeah, they'll tell you how good they are. I mean, how can you tell by a pop thing? You can't tell. But that's it, mate. When I was growing up, I got a lot more into, finding different, going to auditions, I had many bands. I formed many, many bands. But as I went along, and funny enough, Pete was around at the time, but we didn't really know each other. But he'd been a bit of a promoter. He's from the Nottingham side, and I'm from the Leicester side. And
6 months.
funny enough, we met up again. Go on, take it from there, Pete.
No. Sorry, I was just explaining to Mike. There's 26 miles between the two in the East Midlands.
Yeah.
I think I met Mick in '75. I think it was Captain Video, the band he was in, and anyway, as time went on, as Mick says, you go off and do different things, and then we hooked up again briefly in the '80s, and then the mid-'90s particularly. I started promoting him a lot, and then the noughties, the early 2000s, when he moved to Germany and became a star over there, and came back to the UK, and I thought, blimey, he's still doing it. And then I realised by doing my homework, this was before, well, the internet was around, but not like it is now. He didn't have all that information at your fingertips. But I suddenly realised he was playing with all these amazing people, probably, as Mick will tell you, his own heroes from the States, a lot of them, in Germany. Because Germany's probably the second biggest rock and blues market in the world after America.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realise that, but it is, And as a matter of fact, as an aside to that, if you look into the history books of rock and roll, particularly in the late 60s onwards, you'll discover that there's 2 places in Europe where tour bands always go, American tour band. One is Germany, because it's the biggest area. And the other one was Finland, because they always used to pay for the airplane fares. So they start in Finland. Yeah, they start in Finland, go through Sweden, Denmark, and wherever. I'm missing one out, Norway, and then work their way to Germany. And then you'd be in Germany for months. And when you think about it, that goes all the way back to, the German market goes all the way back to the Beatles, 63.
Yes,
Kind of at the same time that Mick started, in fact. So we've come full circle.
That was interesting, Pete. You mentioned about Finland as well, too. It's just like, a lot of us didn't know about Finland being one of the top markets in Germany. What were the main factors for Finland being a really hot market for rock and blues besides Germany? What are some of the factors behind it?
Well, I think they offer cheap airfares, to try and get people to come to Finland, because it's stuck up there, but also the thing about Finland and Europe in general, which what attracts American bands, is the fact that you can be big in a small territory. Now, Finland's only 8,000 people, which is 8 million people, I beg your pardon. 8 million people. Well, London itself is 10 million, so it gives you an idea of perspective. But you can do very well in Finland, and you can do very well in Denmark, build up a momentum, and by the time you get to Germany, which is a mass market, you can really be on your way. And Mick's a good example of that. I mean, he's kind of chipped away in Germany, got work in Switzerland, Austria, all these places, and it made him. I mean, his first album, the Wildman, sold 20,000 albums as an independent release, which is unbelievable.
I certainly noted that too. That was amazing. Now, let me ask you this: in terms of Finland being 8,000, does Luxembourg count?
Yeah. Well, as a tax haven, yeah.
I thought Switzerland was a tax haven with those banks and such.
We've all got something going on. Well, Ireland, by the way, is a great example of that. I don't know if you know this. You know what they did in Ireland? If you're an artist, you pay 0 tax as long as you're a resident there for 6 months a year. And it would not be unusual to go around Dublin and see one of the Stones, for example, or one of U2, or any of the, well, they are from Ireland anyway, but some very famous actors as well, and they all base themselves there because, of course, Ireland wants the income, and what they don't get in tax, they get in another, disposable income, And Roy Harper moved there years ago. He's still there now. He's about 80 now, but very well-known folk singer.
Oh my gosh, that's interesting. Learning a lot from you guys as well too. And then Mick, I'm trying to think what I was going to say as well too. So I was going to ask you, what was that one precise moment that simply influenced you into what you're doing for the rest of your career?
Well, I think, well, Mike Vernon, the producer, he took me on. That was the biggest thing that ever happened for me because I always wanted him as my producer. The second is Pete, because Pete's, you know, and the third is Craig, because Craig and Pete really helped me, especially, Pete says, you know, try and do something new, Mick, rather than just the blues, but include your blues playing in it. And I couldn't see it first, but when I saw what Craig was sending me, I just went, this is absolutely dynamite. I love it. I love it. Because, I'm not a software man, but the way Craig does it, he's got a way of putting it across, and you think, oh my God. And when he did that, Are You Blind? I says, man, you've got to get that out. It's a great track. It's just a dynamite, And he says, oh, I don't know. I said, no, please. Yeah. And he took me advice.
I have to say, Mick sort of really did bring that one out. I'd kind of like written it, got a rough idea down, and then I tend to leave things on the back burner and then come back to them a little bit. But Mick just kept on saying, what about that one? What about that one? You got to do it. You got to do it. And eventually I thought, yeah, he's right. So,
if it wasn't for that track, we'd call you the George Martin of the blues, but that's a reggae track.
Craig, I think you've been proclaimed George Martin already. So,
yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, I saw the intuition that Craig's got, and I started realizing I want to move on. I don't want to be. And plus, by 2019, I just finished doing some concerts in Belgium, and everything fell apart with COVID for everybody else as well. And I was just absolutely at a lost end. And Craig rang me and says, "Would you help us out?" I says, "Yeah, sure. Just send me some stuff, And from there, that's how we got together, and we've been together since then, But I hadn't seen him for 40 years, you see. And like Craig was saying, we had met in Leicester in the 80s. We didn't kind of know each other, but Craig would come to some of my gigs, and but people would say, "Them two are opposites. I can't understand it." Well, of course, opposites attract, don't they?
Yeah, very true.
But that, that's the main. And then Pete just gave me the idea. Says, "Mick, that's try it." And I says, "Yeah, I am trying it." And he's come up with some really lovely stuff. And Pete's really helpful as well, because I'm not that clever with words, but he comes up with some great words. There's one song in particular, I saw it in this gospel song. It's on the Are You Blind? Hard Lesson in Love. And the words just hit me straight away. I just had to get my daughter to get on the piano, 1.5 hours, all done in one take.
And she sounds like John Lennon on the piano.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Very haunting piano line. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, that worked for me, because that's me at my, when I love something. It's like all great ideas, Mike, come inspiration. They're the 10-second things, not the things that you plan or you set. Well, like Craig says, sometimes you put them in the back boot and they're in the closet, and you can go back to it. It's like a little bank account you've got there, and you go, "Oh, I'll try this." Let's see see how this works. And he's right. And I work that way as well myself. But at the present moment, it's a great way to try and incorporate the blues in so many different ways. I mean, a great exponent of that is one of my well-loved guitarists is Freddie King, because this guy just came stomping in and doing something completely different to any bluesman I've ever heard. I just thought I was about to pack in 73. When I saw him, I thought, that's it. That's how good you got to be. He just woke me up. He woke me up, and I just thought, this is the man who and again, Dylan, I love all good music. I mean, You go and see BB, he's great, but it's either slow shuffles or fast shuffles, and it's nice, and he's got a trill on his fingers, and it's nice the way he does it. Same as Albert King, and Roy's completely unusual, but you know who they are. And them days, it was a very much that kind of way. If you're into music, you'd say, the people who'd be into Grateful Dead, people who'd be into Quicksilver. I mean, I'd love some of that, Quicksilver, and there's some great stuff coming from America. Equally in England as well. But the Americans I got this go for it attitude, Mike. Yeah.
Something you rattle off some of the names as well too in terms of blues and everything else. You rattle off some of the British blues and also other country blues as well too. But the two I could think of is and give us your thoughts: Muddy Waters and I'm trying to think Robert Johnson. It's like those are the other two.
Oh, you're talking common sense. To me. It's impossible. Nobody could copy that. Nobody. It's impossible. Bill Wyman says nobody could play like that. You'd have to be a genius, really. Even if you tried to copy it, you could never sing like that. And the guy's just, from his life, And again, same as J.B. Lenoir and all the greats, Howlin' Wolf. They're just real specials. And again, they weren't accepted them days until BB went to the Bill Graham's Fillmore, and he stood there, started playing. All the whites were all going mad over him. He'd never got all that kind of rendition, and clapping and all that. He got, if he got a 5 for the night, you know what I mean. But and I think that's where the white guys like Clapton, the white players gave the black players, Buddy guys, a bit more of a platform, which was great. And them days were different today. There was a lot more keenness in wanting to know, different kinds of music, but they all added up to the same thing. As long as they got a great feel, you can call it whatever you want. If it went to the back, if it went on up your back and shook you, you just thought, well, it's got to be great music, isn't it? It's something you can't explain. It's great. And I mean, how do you explain a princess on a pin?
Oh my goodness,
But yeah, you just learn, don't you? You learn so much, and then you read so much about the culture then, and a lot of it was coming from Europe, as Pete was saying, the Europeans. What I loved about Blue Horizon was Mike Vernon. He consulted the whole lot and brought people over from America like Otis Spann and Freddie King. I mean, Freddie wouldn't have got an opening if it wasn't for Mike Vernon. I mean, I didn't even get to know about Freddie till about the 70s. I'd heard his name, but to see the man is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I've seen BB, yeah, he's great, and Albert's great, but I mean, you just think, God, who are these guys? Again, in America, you're getting it 27 hours a day. You know what I mean? You could go to the Fillmore them days. You could go to the Whiskey A Go-Go. You could go and see these guys in chiseling places in Chicago, Buddy Guy in Chicago.
Yes, that's right. And of course, I remember being in Chicago as well, too. Got to catch Muddy Waters, Eddie Clearwater, the Chief, and Chess Records was not too far down the road. That's a legendary place we visited. It was amazing what they did at Chess.
Absolutely. And that's to finish the conversation. That's what I loved about it. The American thing really hit me that way. But what stopped me was the authorities didn't want an English musician over there, and I wanted to go back anyway and go back to England, then go back to America again.
It's still done.
Well, you know what I mean. It was really hard them days to get a visa, and
still is.
Well, enough, I met Peter Green at the embassy in 1978. I knew it was him, and I went up to him and said, "You're Peter Green, aren't you?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "You're Mick, aren't you?" I said, "Of course I am." I said, "Who do you think I am? The Muffin Man."
Are you blind?
Very good. he had a beard then. He was looking a bit rough then, you know. He needed a shave. Then he got his American woman with him. And I said, what are you doing? He says, trying to get my visa. I said, you'd be lucky if you can get your seventh day life back, you know, because he, you know, he'd been going through so much. I mean, Peter was such he's a great guy, but very open to the other things which he should have not got involved in, you know, in the business, you know, the other things that we don't talk about. But again, I don't know, an oddball, you know, an odd player. But when I saw him at, I opened up. Well, he opened up in '96, and we were in another big tent in Reading, and Guildford, sorry, '96, and. After we finished our set, I went down to go and listen to him, and I was crying after the third number. I thought, this is not Peter Green. You know, this is nothing like Peter Green. The other guy was doing all his bits, and I thought, it's finished. He's finished. You know, and it just done me in. It's like hearing Bob Dylan trying to do ABBA. You know what I mean? Or, what the hell was he doing that for? He wasn't himself, you know. And again, you know, these things happen, don't they? You know, and I think that's what does it, because I think the fame kills them. I think there's a fine line between wanting to be someone and just staying in the background and being a bit of an underground artist. And I prefer that, where you build up your audiences from your fans, because most of my fans get me the gigs. It's not the promoters. I mean, I've got to go to Belgium on Thursday and Friday and Saturday, and the fans got me the gig. It's a festivals. And it says, we've not seen you for 30 years. It says, you're lucky. I haven't either.
And talk to those 20,000 people in Budapest, too. That explains it right there. So.
Oh, that was yeah. And it was run by a guy who kept on running around from Buda to Pest. And he said, get in the taxi. And we were driving around. And he was always looking around at this taxi car. I said, what's wrong with you? Oh, it's all right. I've just got to go into here. I was sitting in this. What's going on here? I've just got to get some money from this. I said, well, you are the promoter. Oh, yes, don't worry. We've got to go down here now. I thought, go with this. And I said, what's this? A bloody taxi service to the moon. Anyway, I'll stop rapping on. I could talk all night, like you were saying, Mike.
You know something, Mick? I was just going to say we could resume that. We'll talk about some of your other works, along with continuing with Are You Blind? But first, listen to the Mike Widener Show at the MikeWidenerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking a budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition rate. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. It's 1-800-303-3960, or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Widener Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Widener Show, international watering author Mia Molson-Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is illusion and those you love will be the first go missing. It's available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Molson-Zia has garnered great reviews, and Evil Evan enjoys by how its celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forbes Riley, and Else. So grab your copy today for Girls Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon. Also, check out the Mike Widener Show at the MikeWidenerShow.com on a reported podcast platforms heard in over 100 countries. Also on HamiltonRadio.net, Diamonds FM, Oldies Radio, and a few networks coming soon. Take us with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Widener Show on the YouTube channel. Follow the Mike Widener Show on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok today. For great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com and check out the Mike Widener Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia for great books, merchandise, and more. Also support the Mike Widener Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, the MikeWidenerShow.com. Make sure you give generously today. We're here with the terrific triumphant here on the Mike Widener Show. Pete Finster, the host of Get Ready to Rock, is with us, along with Craig Marshall, Audio 54, and Mick Pini, the legendary singer, songwriter, guitarist, and lots of great stories I heard from Mick as well, too. Pete, glad to join us again, and Craig, thanks for joining us as well, too. And Mick, before we talk about Are You Blind, we're going to cover second more songs as well too. And besides your Un-American activities, you also had Big Boss Man, Ain't No Foolin', Blues Gonna Be My Way, Come to My Kitchen, Route 66, and How Blue Can It Get? More as well too, and Happy the Blues. And tell us about some of your albums, and a few of them were your albums as well. Talk about those.
Yeah. Well, when you talk about how blues what, this was a turning point, as Pete would say, because me and Pete had the same thing for the drummer that came out of the Zappa band. He was special. He was a very special guy, Jimmy Cole Black. He died about 12 years ago. And I had the honour time to meet him, get to know him really well. A wonderful guy. And quite honestly, to me, he was, an icon, really. I thought, when I saw him on the cover, I thought, I'm going to meet him someday. I didn't think that would happen, but it did. And I became very close to him, and had 10 years with him before he died. And he was living in Germany with his wife. And Pete probably, will tell you a few things as well, about Jimmy. But anyway, the other albums were, oh God, there's so many. I mean, you were talking about,
and of course, so many. Craig,
albums.
You can also join in too if you like, so you can help out. So
yeah. I think a lot of it is just really just doing it all the time. Instead of moaning and whinging, just do. It's all right. You just got to do what you have to do, and that's what you do as a blues man. Because each day is going passing, and if you let it go by, it's your own fault for letting it go by. Okay, they're not all going to be great albums, but I never had the opportunities of going into a great studio. I never had the opportunity to let Mike helped me quite a lot, really. But then, Mike's kind of retired. So again, you've got no producer. But with Craig, I found something special, and I think I was moving on. And like Pete says, it's something very new, and it's the best move I ever made, really, from Pete.
You should actually mention the Backtrack album, which is an update of Mick's back catalogue that Craig brought new life to, and just made it something completely different.
Yeah, true.
It's like a new album, really, of older material, but completely reconfigured, for the 21st century. And that's not hyperbole. I mean, that's true.
I mean, I was really surprised when I realised how many albums Mick had actually made. What is it, Mick? Is it around about 20 albums?
Well, with ours, about 27 now.
27 albums, which
and a good portion of live too, which is good. Yes.
Yeah. And I think that it's very, very much a kind of that kind of touring musicians of it was what sort of just naturally followed. Bands would be on tour and then would just go and record the live gig, and that would be the album. Whereas I think what we've done now, and certainly what happened with Mike when Mick was working with Mike Vernon, is it wasn't that kind of just go from the gig to the studio. It was kind of just go to the studio and think about what you're producing, what you're creating, and make it something that's got that longevity rather than just an extension of the gig. It was a new creative process, and I think that's what Mick really, really related to with Mike. And certainly the music that came out of those sessions was phenomenal. It was way above anything Mick had done previously, I think, and hopefully that's kind of where we're getting to now, because the music that we're recording and releasing is not necessarily what Mick is going to be performing live. I keep on getting onto him saying, you got to get the band to rehearse these numbers because people are going to want to hear him live, and he's got a superb new band. I don't know whether anybody's seen some clips on YouTube, but he's just put together a new band, which, especially because of his back trouble, has been quite a challenge for him, and they are phenomenal. So I'm just hoping that we can get them to play some of the numbers live, because it's going to sound fantastic. Yeah.
So, so the next one will be the live album, then, will it, Craig?
Yeah.
By the time this
Why
interview
not?
gets
Why
done, the
not?
live album is going to be out. I can see that happening. By the time we're done, the next live album is going to be out, and another live. It's like, what's next these days?
It'll be live on the Mike Wagner show.
The classic thing, Mike, I've learned in the English drummers, you've got the rock drummers, yeah, they play like this kind of, as if they're stuck up the bum, and and then you've got the real classy ones that use their whole bodies, and they do something completely different. You'd think, well, how's he do? That's what I want to hear, the offbeats, the behind the beats. And I think that's why I know I love the American music, because a lot of the blues and a lot of the American music is based on the heartbeat. It goes right to the core of drumming, and when you see that kind of free-form drumming where they're really inventive, and the drummer I've got now, I've been looking for a drummer like that for about 50 years. But you've never had the opportunity to meet someone like that because they all want £1,000 a week. You know what I mean? So again, that these young guys, he's a young guy, he's done academies, he's done the whole lot. And he just looks at me, doesn't say anything to me. He's a young guy. And I can tell he likes what I'm doing. And that's how I keep it with him, and that's the best way to be, rather than build him up and say, oh, you're a great drummer. No. He knows where you're coming from, and that's what you need. And again, I've got a black bass player called Al Morris. He's from, I believe, Illinois, somewhere like that, and he's living in Germany. And he's a great guy as well, very quiet guy, and I like that. And he's got a great feel as well. So again, it's back to this thing I was saying at the beginning. The Americans have got this wonderful way of getting to grips with things. Even the punk bands. What was that punk band I used to call? I mean, I'm not really a punk, but there was one band that came along. Thought, my God, if you compare with the Sex Pistols, this band were mild. Okay, I'll give you the next example. Would you go and see? Well, I better not mention any names. No, I better not. But if you go and see Sean and I, you think you're going to see a show. If you like rock and roll, if you see the English band, I'm not going to know. You're looking for 80-year-olds to go and listen to that. Which is fine. But it's not progressive in any kind of way. You're just going to get the same and the same and the same. And the whole point of music, it's got to move on, and like Pete and Craig was saying, you've got to move on. And that's what I liked about their ideas, rather than being stuck in the, with your blues. I mean, it's all blues, really, isn't it? If it hits you, it hits you. And it moves you, and that's the only way I can describe it, like Freddie King, to me, he played rock, funk, the whole lot, and I mean, he's just an absolute nutcase, but he was brilliant. And his band were nutcases as well, 2 keyboards, and you think, and his brother playing bass, and he looked effortless playing it, and you just thought, how do they get a sound like that? It's ridiculous, but they did, and again, the Americans have got that wound up for me. They've got that wonderful way of going for it rather than, we must try it like this and set it into a format. I don't think the Americans work that way. They just do it. Come on, let's do it. And if you can't do it,
just do it. That's right. That's how we operate. We roll, right?
Well, that's what I love about the challenge, because that's what I love about it, Mike. I'm not scared of the challenges. What I'm scared of is people don't give you the challenges.
The opportunity, yeah.
Right, I can totally relate to that too. And I'm glad I covered Black Tack. I was going to mention it. I'm glad you read my mind. You also have Pastoral out as well too, and tell us a bit about that.
Pastoral is more of it's Pete's title. I thought it's relevant to the music. Then Pete got someone called Marcus Flynn from the Marcus Flynn band to do the graphics, and he did a great job. And it's based on peace, really, and wonderful insights of the beauty of the world and how it's let's try and keep that, you know, that wonderful peace and melancholy, you know.
Mick,
Unfortunately,
sorry, Mick. Yeah, but I was just going to say, Mick does go, you know, in his local area is absolutely beautiful, and goes on well, when his back permits, goes on bike rides or walks through some wonderful lakes and countryside, and is a bit handy with a camera, I have to say, and takes some wonderful photographs. And I think Pastoral, the actual track, was almost like a reflective piece. I think we had this conversation, Mike. You'd been Mick, you'd been out, and you came back and just kind of it came to you, and you started playing it, and you flew it over to me over the internet. And what do you think? What do you think? I was like, wow, that's because some of the chords were just, you know, amazing. And then we kind of worked on that a little bit, and then just bit by bit built it up into the track it is. But it was, the whole essence of it was to just and I do tend to get it a little bit carried away sometimes with drums and things like that.
It's okay. It's good. It's good. Keep it going.
So it was a constant side, just pulling the thing back to just let it breathe and give it that sort of that pastoral feel. And Pete, you know, picked up on it straight away and said the word, and then it stuck, really, didn't it, Pete?
Yeah, and if you I don't know if you've seen the video, Mike, but I mean the thing that Marcus Flynn put together, they're actually the photographs that Mick took in the area that Craig was talking about, and it's an aesthetic. That's the word we're all searching for. It's a whole aesthetic.
Right. Yes.
It's music, art, feel, emotion, all those things rolled into one, which is what blues is meant to be about, after all, you know.
And I did get to see the video of that too. Amazing job! I gotta say that was amazing.
Well, it was a kind of it's not the normal video. You're drawn into this aesthetic, and it's like a picture book, really. Here comes the next one, and you go, you're like on the water. In fact, you know, there's a parallel here with these guys that are very creative on the internet, and they do websites where they have things called portals. I mean, don't know a lot about this, but you have a portal that leads to something else, which is what this is like. You walk from one picture. It's the Alice in Wonderland. You walk from one thing to another. You know,
yeah, one rabbit hole to another. I know how that goes.
There you go. Yeah. but the music drags you in, and that's the music glues it all together, you know. And
it does.
That's Craig and Mick's essence right there. The two of them. It's brilliant. You know?
I find when you're looking at a film, I mean, I wish I had contacts. I'd love to go into a studio in America and do music for films. I find it really easy to do. I know it sounds a bit weird. If you put a film there, I can imagine some blues wild guitar on it, or nice guitar, or whatever guitar you want on it, and you can get. And I'm sure I'm going to do that with Craig. If we could get a film, you know, I mean, you need to be in a studio where you've got that kind of, you know, all the things going there, and then you can create. I mean, Craig's come up with some good ideas from the 30s of America. You know, says, oh, we could use some of them pictures. Maybe I could put some guitar on that. And we did actually with Wasteland, and that kind of worked, didn't it? Really, you know, with that, you know. And again, you know, I love it all. I love the film work. I love the music. I love playing live. I love creating. You know, and again, like as Craig was saying, you know, it was a new objection going on to Mike Vernon, because I'd never worked in a studio before, you know, and it just taught me something a lot more about how to create the music. But again, you know, you've only got them abilities to do when you have to do it yourself, because, you know, you're not in a situation where, say, you're Clapton, you can just go into a studio, you can turn up in your 10th Porsche with about 90 fucking fingers on you, you know, and say, I've got James Jameson on drums, I've got, you know, all these names, you know. I mean, if you can't make an album in a day, there must be something wrong with you, you know what I mean? Because these guys are all top guys, you know. And you go in the studio with some of the people I've played with, I've been there for weeks and done nothing. And it's been recorded on nothing on some of my albums. And I thought, well, I don't like that album. One album cost me about £22,000, you know. Yeah. And I got the wrong drummer on it. And he thinks it's great.
Oh,
Well, I
no.
And it would be a drummer, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I had to adjust to that. That's the trouble. You know, what I find with Craig and Pete, I don't have to adjust to anything. They just give me the stuff and say, what do you think? You know, well, is this all right? You know, work at it. And, then, you know, it's a challenge, you know, and I'm up for it. You know, I find that really, really challenging and great, you know, because I think, you know, what's the old saying? Don't come with me with problems. Give me solutions. You know what I mean? And that's how I look at it. You know, give me solutions. You know, and that's the only way to do it. And you know, it's not about you. It's about how you can create and forget yourself. You know, because most of the people nowadays are trying to sell themselves as musicians, which is fine. You know, but you know, don't come to me moaning that you couldn't make it. You know, it's not about that. Yeah, it is nowadays, but you know, you've got to play what's your truth, what you see before you. And, you know, it's all right saying, well, you know, he's on 900 quid a minute, you know, well, fine, he can go in the studio. I can't, you know, because I'm using what I've got around me. And I find that really, really, you know, a challenge as well. You know, it's not as if you're going in with, you know, Steve Gadd and, you know, all these top guys. I mean, you know, Jim Keltner, another one of my favourite drummers. You know, I think, oh wow, I'd love to work with him as well. You know, and again, you know, most of my guys are Americans. You know, if you thought of English guys, I would have said, you know, probably some. There are some good ones. You know, I mean, go on.
I was going to just come back to what Mike said a while ago about Robert Johnson and Muddy Waters, and I think, you know, you may have what you perceive to be the top players. They may be the top paid people in the business, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to bring any spirit with them. And I think those guys, Muddy Waters, and especially Robert Johnson, there was a spirit that just pervaded the music, and hence onto the vinyl. I don't care how much anybody gets paid. That you know, that's something you can't buy.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
So you know, I don't care who does what and who gets paid. If the spirit's right, then the record will be right. But if not, I mean, and for a reason, Robert Johnson and Muddy Waters started something off big time, and it wasn't because they had the best players and had the most money. It was because they had the right spirit and the right feel. You know,
pretty much the chemistry.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
It was a good.
Exactly, Mike.
It was a good. Well, it was a good time because, go remember, with just them days, you got everything was changing for everybody, especially people, women, the pill, all this going on. Great books, Aldous Huxley, Hess. You had all these great books you could read, and George Orwell, James Joyce, Camus. You get some great stuff, and you're going, wow, it's really interesting. What do the kids get today? Monster Dragon. And you think, well, what am I going to learn here? And then they wonder why they're going around shooting people, because they've got games that interrupt their real cultural thing. I think that's where America's going a bit the other way, in a way, rather than getting their kids into, giving them some good insights, and showing them some social skills, and learning about, life, really. And America's got a lot to offer in culture, really has. I mean, me and Craig, and I'm sure Pete does, I love the time of the the Dust Bowl, because that's when the real spirit was, wasn't it? You know, they were moving from one place, and their own people, they were denied by their own people when they got to LA. Oh, you can't stay here, you got to go. And the same as the black people. So there's all this kind of racist type of attitude and exphobic things, you know. We never accept as the people, whether the pink, yellow, blue, and it's still going on today, isn't it? You know, and it's sad really, because there's so much more that we could change in this world, and I'm afraid we're going more towards a Trumpian type way rather than a really kind of you know, not formatted, but some kind of thing where you can see tomorrow's going to be a great day. You know what I mean? There's loads of festivals like there used to be in the 60s, you know, like people saying, if you're in a Germany, you're getting festivals every day, you know, every day, same as the States, same as England. When you look at it now, what we got? Brexit, no festivals, all playing small clubs, nothing else. You know, when you're going to see a band? Well, you ain't, because they're not allowed to come to Europe unless they spend a lot of money to come over. And they've cut themselves off from Europe, you know. And again, America's moved in with the Germans and Europe, and American musicians are coming over here, and they're looking at work over here, you know. And again,
but the trouble with America for a working musician has always been distance, the geography. Simple as that. You can have somebody who's huge in LA or huge in Texas, which is 50 times the size of Great Britain, and yet, you know, nobody in New York would have ever heard of, you know. Yeah. And that's your problem. That's why it goes back to what I said earlier in the conversation about Finland and all these kind of smaller countries. You can make a big splash in a smaller territory, but with the same amount of publicity, and publicity will go worldwide now. The internet.
I think, you know, certainly I remember a conversation I had with a manager years and years ago, and he was really pushing for me to actually move out to New York and work in the States. And he told me, he said, you can sell more records in New York than you can in the whole of the UK. And I think, you know, for us in Europe, obviously there's some big countries in Europe, Germany being one. But the actual scale of the US is just, unless you're over there, I think you don't quite comprehend just how big and how phenomenal the market is, you know?
Mm-hmm. Right. And I think you guys made some really good points as well, too. And of course, you know, resume that and finish up with Are You Blind? What's coming up for Mick Pini, Pete Feenstra, and Craig Marshall. More, find out in just 1 minute. You listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Also brought to you by official sponsor of The Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson-Zia Missing, available on Amazon paperback and ebook. We'll be back with Mick Pini, Craig Marshall of Audio 54, along with Pete Feenstra after this time.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention The Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Hey everybody, my name is Forbes Riley, and I'm an American actress and a TV host. And I was delighted when I got my copy of Missing, which is Extraordinary Relation of Ordinary People based on a real life relationship. It's well written. It's amazing. You know, it talks about a man who has lost his wife and his daughter, and it's very well done. I'm going to highly recommend that you go get your copy of Missing. It is a powerful, exciting read. Mr. Mian Moshe-Zia. He is the author of Missing. And I want to give a big shout out and a kiss all the way halfway around the world to my dear friend. Check him out at Mia's website. It's called www.miamoshenzea.com. Missing, available on Amazon. Again, I'm Forbes Riley, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Hey, this is Ray Powers, and boy, are you in luck. Right place, right time. Tuned in to The Mike Wagner Show. You heard me.
We're back with Pete Feenstra, Craig Marshall, and Mick Pini here on the Mike Wagner Show. And we'll continue on a little bit and carry conversation and maybe just a couple more tracks we haven't mentioned about Are You Blind, Late Night Blues, and Full Moon Blues. And that's from the forthcoming Way Ahead sessions. And tell us a bit more about that to wrap up the Are You Blind?
Okay, so the Way Ahead sessions are, we, as I said, you know, we from our first sort of creative element of working together, we just continued, and then Pete suggested the backtrack project, which was phenomenal. But we were kind of like, I looked at the files and I thought, we're stacking up a lot of tracks here. I think at one count there was about 23 tracks, and we said, wow, you know, is it a double album, is it whatever? And then between the three of us, we decided, no, let's put out one 4-track EP and then another 4-track EP as a kind of lead up to the album. So the album itself, I think I'm not going to release date yet, but it's going to be sometime probably late September, early October. That has got 12 tracks on it now, because there's 8 of the tracks have already been released. But then the plan is to do a deluxe album, which will have all of the tracks plus some extras. There's some really, really interesting archive material that we've got, which I think we'll put out for a special treat for the fans.
That's really interesting. Where can we find all your music at, including the latest Are You Blind and more? Where can we find all your music at?
All the music is it's basically, it can be streamed on Spotify, it's on Apple Music, it's on Amazon Music, it's on iTunes, it's on Deezer, it's every sort of download station and download platform that there is, it's there. You just need to search for Mick Pini and or Audio 54 and you'll find it. It's also on Audio 54 Bandcamp, or bandcamp.com Audio 54, and bandcamp.com Mick Pini as well. So
okay.
Yeah, that's basically everywhere.
We'll certainly check that out. Once again, we're with Mick Pini, Craig Marshall of Audio 54, along with Pete Fincher here on the Mike Wagner Show. And what else can we expect from all three of you in 2022 and beyond?
Oh, good question.
Yeah, well, I kind of know because I've got some ideas that I'm working on right now.
I'm a good.
Mick's not heard a lot of them, so it will be. He mentioned Freddie King. It's going to be, well, if he's okay with it, it's going to be moving along those kind of lines. So it's going to have a bit more R&B. So there's going to be a bit more rhythm in the blues.
Yeah.
That's kind of you know, there's not a lot more I can say right now, but we're working on it, and obviously Mick's nursing this bad back at the moment, which is kind of put everything on hold. And if you're
I'm a tough old boot. I'm a tough old boot. I've got to go and do Belgium. I've got to go 700k on Thursday. Stay there, backaches every night, screaming with pills, and then some orange juice. And the promoter's going to say, "What's wrong with you?" I say, "Nothing. I'll get through this, whatever happens." Even if I have to collapse. And that's how we're born. You know, if you're a musician, you die on stage. Simple as that. You know, you don't know anything else. You know, who determines your life? Not me.
We've got another album to do, though, mate.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't say that, because we've got another album to do.
Yeah, stick around.
Well, and by the time we're done talking, there'll be another album, like I said. And can you attest to that, Pete? There'll be another album done by then by the time we're all finished here. So.
Yeah, I think so.
This will go on for years here.
Well, I mean, the interesting thing about this is, of course, we haven't really spoken about this because it's kind of negative, but a lot of this came about, a lot of the momentum, I think, came about because of COVID. And pre-COVID, Mick hadn't really done a lot of digital stuff, and once you get the time and once you get the availability of whoever it is on the project, unlike pre-COVID where you're all running around doing things, you've actually focused on something. You know, you actually focused on something, and you put yourself on the spot a little bit more. I think, you know, you certainly when you write songs, and I'm sure Craig say the same thing. So would Mick when he's actually got to deliver the music. And yeah, I think in a weird sort of way that lockdown time was precious in a weird way, because it actually focused everybody's creativity, or some in this case it did. So
yeah.
Certainly does as well too. And Craig and Mick, who do you consider biggest influences in your careers?
You first, Mick.
What was the question?
Who do you consider your biggest influences in your careers?
What's the biggest
influences, or who are they?
Good question. Can you give me 3 years? I'll get back to
you. Pete, can we allow that? Okay.
I'm trying to think what you say. What's the biggest? What was it?
Influence.
Like what you all said, what Craig says, what Pete says, and I'm sure with you, Mike. It's the blues, man. You know, the blues is a living thing. It's never died. You know, it's the roots. It's the roots, and the fruits come later, as Willie Dixon would say. You know, and that makes very good sense to me. You know, and again, you know, I mean, I remember Muddy Waters doing "Let's Spend the Night Together." He hated it. I still think it's great, because it's so different to what he's doing. But he didn't like the album at all, you know. But then, you know,
for me, biggest influence. I remember I was a little tot in my cradle, or cot, whatever, and I wasn't quite asleep, but I could hear something on the TV downstairs, and just kind of jumped over the side of the cot and came down, much to my parents' surprise, because the Beatles were on the Royal Variety performance, and obviously something in the music just kind of connected with me even at that young age. So that, as a primary influence, was it really, because that, and then I just wanted to listen to music on the radio and stuff, and I was only about, I don't know, 3, something like that, 2 or 3.
Wow.
Yeah, and just loved it. And then from there, that was the kind of like the springboard moment to take me into searching out all those influences, you know. And like I said, Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, Keith, David Bowie, yeah, and yeah, it just, I mean, basically, I like anything that's got a spirit.
We can all attest to that as well too. And what's the best advice you guys can give to anybody at this point? All 3 of you can join on this time.
To anybody, what in the starting out in the music?
No, not just in general.
Oh wow! Just follow your heart. Yeah, just follow.
Get up before 8 a.m.
Is that French time or British time?
Oh yeah, that's automatic. Yeah. Depends where you are. Very good. Yeah. But yeah, the Beatles was the thing for me as well, and then blues. It was Alexis Corner on a kids. It was a kids program in England called 5 O'Clock Club, and they used to have a house band, Mike. And the house band was Alexis Corner, Jack Bruce, Ginger Baker. I think Ginger Baker at one point. Graham Bond. Incredible. Dick Hextall Smith. And I loved the music. It was R&B band, really, but I couldn't. I was only 9 years old, and I couldn't get on with Alexis Corner's voice, because it's very gruff baritone. Whereas now I love it, you know. But back then it was. But that got me into that, and then all the usual Spencer Davis Group and everybody else, and then I discovered Frank Zappa, you know. And he was the guy that you know. Me and a lot of other people drag you into all sorts of different musical, and it's what Mick was saying about America actually earlier on. He was never put in a shoebox, his music. He do a bit of jazz here, a bit of doo-wop there, a bit of classical here, you know, some fusion there, blues there. Then he had Johnny Guitar Watson on a couple of his records. And then that led me to Sony. It wasn't anything big. Well, Hot Rats was the big album for me, actually. But after that, it just kind of opened your mind to all sorts of music that you wouldn't otherwise have explored. And I think what we've all got in common here, but Mick in particular, the reason that this whole project has taken off and the reason Mick's got this new life with this whole new thing, apart from me, Craig and all the rest of it, is that he's always been looking for something interesting. You know, could be spiritually, could be through art, could be blues, you know, emotionally, all that stuff. But he's one of these guys that's always looking. He's not the only one. There's other people and musicians and artists who do the same thing. But if you're not looking, you're not going to find it. It's as simple as that.
And that's very true as well, too. And Mick, what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
Do what you believe. Be open to all challenges. Be strong. Be straight. And believe in what you're doing as best you can, because sometimes you can't do that because you think you can, but you can't. And you just got to listen, just really listen to what you're doing, you know, and see something positive each day. When you wake up, you go, what do I get on with now here? You know, let's do something positive. Let's record something positive. Or I want to take a photo, or it will just come to you. Or, you know, see life as a real, you know, it's a journey. It's always a journey with me. It's an adventure and a journey, you know. It's not ended yet. So I just go along that journey. As Pete says, you just move along and, you know, open your heart to it all, you know, and say, yeah. And if it don't suit you, say, well, I can't do that. It's not my thing, you know. So again, that's why I enjoyed working with these two guys, because, you know, they're saying, Mick, you've been playing so long, why don't you try something new? Well, that's opened up a new door for me, you know, completely new door, you know. As much as we're limited within, I mean, I'd love real drums, but to get real drums, you know, it's always, you know, you got to use what you've got and make the best of it, you know. And what Craig does is wonderful. He does some amazing sounds. You just think, oh my God, how does he do that? You know, and he's got this software. But again, you can only do so much and that, but the ideas are there. And you can, and then he'll try and modify that software into a real drum track. He'll come up to me and say, "I've got this real drum track." And I've got, yeah, that sounds really good. Let's work on that, you know. And so again, like you were saying, the future is going to be, because I've got this drummer now. I'm going to have to be talking to him and say, "Hey, how about some offbeats here? Can you play a few? You know, and let's see what." But good, the future is always dangerous territory, but you just got to move on. Anything can happen to you. You just got to just be dead positive what you do and don't be closed in, you know, and really enjoy what you're doing and to the best of your ability. That's my
And that's very good advice as well, guys. Once again, Mick Pini, Craig Marshall, and Pete Feenstra, part of Audio 54. Are You Blind on the Mike Wagner Show? Guys, very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Learned a lot from you guys. Looking forward to you soon. And Pete, great to have you on. Make sure you keep us up to date. Keep in touch. We'll have you back. And once again, what's your website? How do people contact? Where can people purchase and check out your music? And Pete, where can they find you at and your shows?
Well, my shows is www.getreadytorock.com, or if you want the printed reviews, it's getreadytorock.com, or if you want to see some of my shows, it's feenstra.co.uk.
Okay. And Craig, how about you? How can people find you and check out your works?
Basically on all streaming platforms, all download platforms, and at bandcamp.com /audio54. Or for Mick, it would be /Mick Pini.
Okay. All right. We will certainly do that. Guys, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely amazing. Looking forward to having it soon. Make sure you keep us up to date. Keep in touch. Live have you back. We always show our best. And guys, you got a great future ahead of you. Let's do it again soon.
Cheers, Mike.
Thanks very much, Mike. Thanks.
Lovely.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Hey everybody, my name is Forbes Riley, and I'm an American actress and a TV host. And I was delighted when I got my copy of Missing, which is Extraordinary Relation of Ordinary People based on a real life relationship. It's well written. It's amazing. You know, it talks about a man who has lost his wife and his daughter, and it's very well done. I'm going to highly recommend that you go get your copy of Missing. It is a powerful, exciting read. Mr. Mian Moshe Zia. He is the author of Missing. And I want to give a big shout out and a kiss all the way halfway around the world to my dear friend. Check him out at Mia's website. It's called www.miamotionsea.com. Missing, available on Amazon. Again, I'm Forbes Riley, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to The Mike Wagner Show. Brought to you by international award-winning author Mia Mohsen Zia of Missing. And powered by Sonic Web Studios. Be sure to join us again on over 40 podcast platforms. And of course on the MikeWagnerShow.com, HamiltonRadio.net, and Diamonds FM. Don't forget to support our program with a generous donation at the MikeWagnerShow.com. Thanks for listening.